Great. I'm going to finish the way I started by welcoming everybody, the President and the Foreign Minister, with my favorite introduction. Antalya, ya, hoş geldiniz. Welcome everybody to Antalya. This is the last session for me, I think for all of you as well. I'm going to get dizzy looking around, but I want to make sure I don't ignore any of you. I hope your energy is okay. I'm going to stand up for a little bit. I hope you're all doing well. This is the last session of the day for me, I think for most of you as well. Thank you so much for joining us here. Neighbours, SEE Together, the future of Europe. I feel very privileged to be able to discuss this. I am inside Europe and outside Europe. I am British and I am Spanish, and it's a very interesting subject to be discussing. So we have an hour, and I'm going to be looking at my watch. It is 3:39. I know we have a cocktail after this, and many of you want to enjoy Antalya too. So let us begin. I hope I don't get dizzy by going around, but I will stay looking at this side. And this really is, ladies and gentlemen, a very timely and pertinent debate that will have an immediate impact on the future of the European continent and the future of the EU conference. It is ongoing, and here in Antalya, just 2 days ago, we heard about the importance of Southeast European countries' membership being vital for the EU's global role. And yet, after Croatia, the door to the EU has practically been shut. That's the situation right now. And almost actually 7 years to the day, almost no new countries have joined the bloc. And the topic we are here to discuss is Europe's enlargement vision. That's what we're here to discuss today. Let me just introduce our guests to you all. I'm going to go ladies first, because I've been practicing the pronunciation of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Albania, Olta Jachka. Perfect. Excellent. Welcome.
More practice. More practice.
More practice needed. Your Excellency, welcome to you. And we have the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Montenegro. We have Georgi Radulovic. How's that?
Fine.
Oh, sorry, I've gone too It's the end of the day. Please bear with me, everyone. Victor Ponta is there, the Minister of...
That's me.
They're trying to make me dizzy.
Okay. Okay, guess who? Have one shot, yes.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Romania, Victor Ponta. Welcome to you.
No, the minister just left. The Minister of Foreign Affairs. Yeah.
And now, this is one I do know for 100% sure, Sergei Lagodinsky, Chair of the European Parliament's delegation to the EU and Turkey, JPC.
Yes.
And then Miroslav Lajčák, help me please. Lajčák, EU Special Representative for the Belgrade-Pristina Dialogue and other Western Balkan regional issues. Welcome. Welcome to all of you. These are our guests. These are our panels. They're here. Right. Sergei, I'm going to go first to you. Yes. Why are you making these countries wait? Albania and Montenegro.
Well, the European Parliament does not make those countries wait. The member states, some member states are making those countries wait. As someone from the European Parliament, I would say that a majority of the European parliamentarians see that, for example, Albania and Northern Macedonia are the most interesting and candidates who are very probable members very soon. The member states are a different matter, and we know that blocking of membership of de facto two, or of membership negotiations of those de facto members was done by France and Netherlands at the beginning, and now our Bulgarian friends are also giving us a headache, and I think that this is a wrong way to go. We should stop those very national-driven perspectives and think about the big picture. And I hope that this panel will give us an opportunity to think about the big picture and also to think about what role Turkey would hopefully play also in this big picture of a big and peaceful European Union of the future.
Miroslav, why are you making these countries wait? The same question.
You know, it takes two to tango. It takes two to celebrate a success, or it takes two to share the blame for lack of it. I don't want to blame anyone. The fact is that the partnership is extremely close. I mean, the European Union is by far the most important partner for the region. Trade, investment, the support for the European Union is very high. European Union is helping with the region's needs. I mean, 9 billion for the economic and investment plan, 3.3 billion for fighting the pandemics. No one is even close, so that's the positive side of the story. The negative one is the one that you alluded to in the beginning, the 18 years since Thessaloniki, when our leader said that the future of the region is in the European Union. Only one country of the region made it. Two are negotiating, but as a matter of fact have not progressed for the last 2 years at all. Two are eagerly waiting to start the accession negotiations, and two are still hoping to get a candidate status. Plus, Kosovo is left out of the visa-free regime for their citizens. So there is absolutely no reason to be complacent. And I think there is less enthusiasm on both sides. So the region needs stronger signals from the European Union that the commitment to enlargement is alive, it's real, and the European Union needs...
Is it alive and real?
It is
a commitment from the European Union?
It is alive, it is real, but somehow the end goal has become more blurred compared to what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Because European Union, unfortunately, had to deal with, you know, many things, economic crisis, migration crisis, pandemics. So these were put in the forefront. Now, European Union is waiting for strong signals from the region that European integration is the priority, and it's about reforms, about foreign policy alignment, about everything. And the region says, yes, we will do it, but give us guarantees that when we do it, we will be admitted. So this is like, we need to support each other so that we will finally get traction to the process.
And while I have you both here on this subject, why is Turkey being made to wait?
Well, these processes are very complex, and we see it even with other much smaller and maybe a little bit less complex in terms of their policies and the problems candidates. The negotiations with Turkey, as you know, are now basically at a standstill. They have not been formally suspended, even though some colleagues of mine would like to see this, but I think it would be a mistake. We have a number of issues that have to be clarified, not without the domestic dimension and democracy issues that, of course, are of our concern vis-à-vis Turkey, just as it is our concern vis-à-vis other countries. I mean, in Albania, we have seen a justice reform which is mind-blowing, and many people are very encouraged by that. We still have questions, and we will continue talking about anti-corruption, etc., etc. So we do it, I mean the European Union, European countries, we do it with all the candidates. And I think that Turkey deserves a clear European future and a commitment by the European Union, but we are also a diverse bunch of countries. So it will take some time. The main point is we should not now settle on saying no to any of those candidates.
And I do, look at what's been happening in Europe over the past few years, and I wonder why Montenegro and Albania, do you still want to be part of the European Union? If you think of the recent problems with the vaccines, migration, Brexit, the euro, it's like it almost stumbles from one crisis to another. So why do you still want to be part of this bloc?
Now it's your British half talking.
Oh yes, my British half, the other Spanish half. We're very happy to be there. It's great. You'll see British and Spanish come out during this debate. So yes. Yeah, why?
Because, I mean, simply said, because it's about the values.
Okay.
It's about the values. You know, I mean, for us, the EU is not a gold pot where we are going to reach out hand and harvest the low-hanging fruits or something like that, because it's about the values. And European values cannot be measured by cash inflow or, I don't know, amount of the money you receive, but by the willingness, you know, to share, to stay shoulder to shoulder with your partners and with your friends, and likewise by willingness to just, you know, diligently implement all the reforms in order not to put the stain on those values, and likewise by the way how we have been dreaming European life. So coming back from the, I mean, starting from the first one, speaking of staying shoulder to shoulder, I have to say that I think the same goes for Albania recently, but we've been, you know, aligning our foreign policy with the EU 100%. So just in the good and in the bad times, you know, we are next to the EU. Likewise, speaking of reforms, so this government, you know, has been diligently implementing reforms in order to curb and eradicate corruption. So again, we are talking about values. And speaking of dreaming European dream, almost 80% of our population want to be as soon as possible member of the EU. Allow me to say that this number,
80%?
80%, you know, of our population want to be as soon as possible admitted to the EU. So we are extremely Europhilic society, and if you look at my tuxedo, you might notice that, you know, besides flag of my country, there is flag of European Union. So just it's always about value, and we are more than thankful for this economic investment plan, because it's going to connect all our countries. Yesterday, I got familiar with wise words of President Erdogan said 20 years ago or something, that road is civilization. And those words made me pensive. Why? Because just a road road means connection. Connection means cooperation. Cooperation means communication. Communication means friendship. So road is a friendship. And peace in our neighborhood is peace at home. And that's why economic investment plan is going to be so important for us, and is going to tackle, I would say, the major infrastructural projects that are going to connect our capitals, and we are going to have better understanding and better connections among our Western Balkans countries.
Okay, so that's why you still want to be part.
Yeah, it's about the values.
The values.
I mean, natural values.
Foreign Minister of Albania, is it also about the values for your country?
It's about the values and a lot more, but allow me to elaborate my thoughts in a bit of an organized manner, because I think these are quite tense and exciting times for our neighborhood, specifically for the Western Balkans. And the latest and perhaps big and pleasant news was, of course, the decision from the Netherlands to support the setting of a date for the first IGC for Albania and North Macedonia. And the somewhat less recent and definitely disappointing news, I should say, is what we are, it's the fact that we are not yet sure that we will get a date because of an issue, a bilateral issue between two neighboring countries, two partners and allies of ours, which, if not solved, risks to compromise this very good moment in the integration of the Western Balkans and to postpone it for a date that we are currently unable to foresee. Our region is anything but boring, I should say, full of surprises, and as they say, we produce more history than we can consume. However, this is a very interesting moment that helps us understand our region even better. The integration of the region has advanced so far because of multilateral engagement. Indeed, I believe that this is a thesis that is in the heart of the priorities we are pushing also in the UN Security Council, where we were voted for a 2-year term, 22-24. And that priority, or that thesis rather, is that the Western Balkans are the perfect example of how committed multilateral engagement can transform a region whose development has been held hostage to seemingly intractable disagreements, disputes, and conflicts. And however, thanks to an initial multilateral engagement in the shape of a Euro-Atlantic perspective, the region has dared to hope and look forward. And then, thanks to multilateral engagement between us, between the countries of the region, for the sake of this Euro-Atlantic engagement, the region began to radically transform. Because we, the former enemies or contestants, began to envision a better future by working together. So the change has been remarkable. And when the Berlin process began, I remember this line from our Prime Minister, Edi Rama, which really struck me. And he said that this is the first year without a conflict in the Western Balkans in the last 100 years. Look at the region now, and that brings me back to your question. Talking and working on connectivity, human relations, a common regional market action plan, an EU economic and investment plan for the Western Balkans, a green agenda for the Western Balkans, and so much more. This is remarkable. And I almost think that if we were to somehow transport a politician from the first decade of the 21st century to this forum, he or she would be shocked at how far we've come. He or she would be shocked, or perhaps even accuse us of treason for even daring to think of ideas such as opening up our economies or the four freedoms in our space with our historical enemies. But that is the power of the European dream. It is a dream so powerful that it can change entire, age-old ways of thinking about ourselves and of the other. It is a very powerful dream, but only for as long as it is credible. If it loses credibility, it becomes a very demanding, complicating, and very difficult dream. There are other, more modest, but far easier dreams around, and even tools and platforms that we highly appreciate today because we see their benefits and positive impacts firsthand, like this, or like the Berlin process, or the CCP, or BSEC, or many others. They would all lose their appeal if the European dream loses its credibility. And we are all doing our best to show to the European Union how committed we are to this dream, how we all share the values and principles that underpin this dream, such as regional cooperation and good neighborly relations. And just a few days ago, the Tirana summit, with the participation of the 6 Western Balkans leaders and Commissioner Oliver Várhelyi, was just the latest effort of our part to demonstrate this commitment. But although we've come so far and we've changed so much, of course, we cannot forget our recent history. The EU, on the other hand, often tends to forget it. We cannot forget because, on the one hand, we know from our experience how much effort and work and generous support, I should say, we've received from the European Union and the United States. And it has taken us, this support has allowed us to change our history. But on the other hand, we know this history is still there. Its ideas are still there, and it would be dangerous to just congratulate ourselves on a job well done and forget about them. So there are still potential flashpoints in the region awaiting resolution, and we can see how history can raise its head and complicate our best efforts from the latest situation that has arisen in the EU integration process, this time with a bilateral issue such as North Macedonia and Bulgaria. And so I think that, of course, it is imperative for us to do more, to talk more, to try and find solutions, but it is just as important, if not more, and I'll leave it at that, for the EU to stay committed to the region through concrete actions and by keeping its promises.
I want to talk more about keeping its promises later. Thank you very much. And you still then dream very much about being in the European Union. Going back to my question, it is still, despite the issues we see, it is still very firmly a dream.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It also makes our reforms and everything that we've done so far even more stronger and even more committed. It's the fact that this dream has to be tangible, that sort of pushes us to do more and allows our deliverance, if I may say so.
Thank you so much. Romania, 15 years ago, I believe, you were in this position. Why are they being made to wait, and what is the price of delay?
First of all, I should say that I make a confession. I'm very envy on all the other people in the room because they have more comfortable chairs
Yes,
than us.
yes,
And,
yes.
I'm also a little bit uncomfortable because I'm first time in Antalya wearing a suit and a tie. I come here with my family, swimming, playing golf. So, but I'm even more and more uncomfortable to still talk about Western Balkans, Turkey, what to do. We've been talking about this for many years.
A lot of talk.
And I think it's not only a shame, it's a mistake for Europe. I am more comfortable than my panelist colleagues because I'm eski Başbakan. I love to be eski.
Oh.
I can speak out my mind without creating a lot of people saying, wow, why did you say that? Come on, it's a shame. It's a big mistake.
Why? Why is it a mistake? Why is it a shame for Europe?
Let me give you very concrete examples. I was very proud and very happy when us, Europeans, we signed the agreement with Turkey during the migration crisis, and we said, no more visas for Turkish citizens. Today, if my friends from Turkey want to visit me in Bucharest, they need a visa. I was so happy and proud when, as Prime Minister, I visited Belgrade and Tirana. I'm one of the very few persons in this world who can say that he's friend also with Vucic and Rama. And I think they are both great leaders for Western Balkans. And I said, come on, come faster, like us, like Romania, like Bulgaria, like Slovakia. And they said, yes, we want to join, but I don't know what is happening. Always, Europe is changing the goal. I think it's easier to talk about football. I know Slovakia lost, I'm sorry for this. But it's like every day, the football course, the goals is changing.
And who changes it? Because you say Europe, but who exactly is blocking? Who exactly is changing things?
European politicians who lack the vision and the courage that they had before 2004. There were a lot of discussions. If we accept Slovakia, if we accept Hungary, if we accept Romania, we will lose elections in our countries. And it didn't happen. I think Europe has gained a lot by accepting us, the Eastern European countries. But Europe is not complete without the Western Balkans.
What do they add? Because a lot of people...
Every day it's something else adding. I was very frustrated because every day it was, this is your homework. So I went back to Bucharest, we did everything, and they said, oh, but it's changing. You know, it's not enough justice reform. It's not enough free election. It's not enough this. It's like for Turkey. Also for Turkey, it's changing every day. We ask you to do this. All right, they do. And yes, but we have elections in the Netherlands. We have local elections in, I don't know, which land. Let's postpone it. It's lack of vision. Because it's a world competition, Europe is losing the world competition unless we have the courage and the vision to say Western Balkans is Europe, exactly like us. Turkey, I know it's just a part of Europe, but we need Turkey to be on our side. We don't need another enemy at our border. We have one in the east that it's going to be very difficult to deal with. So I think it's lack of vision, courage, and always, this is why, it's not the European Parliament, but it's the national government. It's not the national government. There is somebody who has elections and we have to...
That's how European Union functions. And you
I'm
want
a
to
European,
be part of this complexity,
I'm a
embrace
European
the complexity.
and I can be unhappy about European not functioning. If Europe was functioning, then the 6 from the Western Balkans should have been already next to Croatia, Slovenia, Bulgaria, Romania. I will give you just a last example. Greece is in the Schengen area. Bulgaria, Romania are in the European Union, but not in the Schengen. Albania, Serbia are not in Schengen, are not in the European Union. And we want to develop Europe? How can we develop with so many borders still there? Only when there is a crisis, we realize, yes, they are still Europeans. Let's talk to them. If they don't make sounds, we will just, oh, it's good, let them there.
Let's hear from Sergei.
So, and one last
Okay.
point. You said when Turkey will join the European Union. I would be very happy. I have attended some European councils, and I am sure if President Erdogan will be to the European Council, we will never get bored in the European councils, for sure. I mean, European councils are rather boring meetings. Having Mr. Erdogan there, that will be not boring, assured. So, but I still believe that Europe will be stronger with the Western Balkans and Turkey, and the lack of courage, it's the explanation.
Now, you said earlier that Europe was not functioning. I hope I'm correctly
We should
quoting
take
you
decisions. Yes, we should not
Sergei,
hide behind
your
somebody.
reply to that. I saw
think
you were not happy with what was said.
I'm one of the most enthusiastic people and members of the parliament concerning new members, but I think we should be fair.
With them.
Accession with everyone.
With them.
With everyone, because accession processes is not a one-way street. And of course, if we're talking about conditionalities and conditions, preconditions, they evolve as well, because the European Union sees the challenges, and we have experienced the challenges of having new members and realizing the Copenhagen criteria, for example, is not enough. Realizing that the European Union is, for example, also a community of values. I'm not sure whether we should, stick to that term, but it's a community of fundamental rights, of rule of law. And now we're seeing that very many members, mostly new members, because we had, of course, the transitional period of the post-Soviet, or whatever you want to call it, post-Yugoslav world. There is a long way to go until we can be sure that we are all on the same page. So we have experienced this with Romania. We have corruption problems there. And we as European Parliament have been dealing with it all the time. And the Commission has been dealing with it all the time. So it's a right of the Union to say, next time, with the next candidate, let's look a little bit more closely about
And are you looking closely, and what are you seeing?
Well, that's what is being done. We are talking to Albania and to Montenegro, to Northern Macedonia, for example, about anti-money laundering situation, about anti-corruption laws. As I mentioned, there is progress in the justice reform, but there are still open questions and that and that and that. And these are, of course, I mean, you cannot accuse European Union of being too slow if you see what is happening in Budapest and what kind of divisions we have regarding, unfortunately, with Warsaw. These are all construction sites, as they say in German. We are still constructing. And it's very difficult then to say and to focus and to say, okay, let's do the next step before having solved the problems of the first step.
And as Europe waits to enlarge, as there is a delay, what is the cost? I'll put it bluntly, are China and Russia using this opportunity to get closer to these countries, maybe filling a vacuum?
We are all bearing the cost, of course. And when we see the Chinese investment in Montenegro, for example, we are all concerned about that.
Why?
Well, because we are, of course, in a geopolitically very precarious phase of competition, and we are, of course, watching our systemic rivals, as they are called, these of frenemies, both in Kremlin and in Peking, of course, trying to expand their sphere of influence as they think, as they perceive it. We don't want to talk about spheres of influence. So I think this is an important point in terms of expansion, and also the values are an important point in terms of expansion. We have realized, and this is what you also said, thankfully, it's not just a market, it's more. So the road there is a little bit longer.
Minister?
Also 3 points that come to mind. The first one is the fact that this European dream that I was talking about has to be credible and tangible for the country, for the political leaders to continue reforming the country and democratizing the institutions, and practically not exporting Albania to the European Union, in our case, but to import the Union and its standards within the boundaries of Albania. And if the process is not, as it is proclaimed, only merit-based, but it becomes too politicized and eventually allows for all sorts of bilateral matters to undermine the integration process, then there will be a lot of political costs from those constructive, progressive political forces that are bearing also the costs of reforming the country and of doing everything that they need to do that doesn't necessarily come without difficulties. The second is the credibility of the Union itself, I believe. If the institutions of the Union appreciate, recognize the work of the countries, the aspirant countries, and they say that they've fulfilled the requirements, then bilateral issues should not undermine the process. Skeptical countries, I understand that the process is such that all countries have a say in the process. The Commission might evaluate the work, merit-based work of the countries, but then the Council has to take the decision whether these countries can go one step ahead. If the institutions of the Union, who are tasked with the technical evaluation of this progress, say that this progress is achieved, then member states should take one step back. And this is when I believe that the credibility of the Union is undermined. And then the third point I wanted to make is that there are other actors in the region that are vying for influence. And
this is the point.
To me, I'll be very honest, I think it's a shame that 10 or 15 years ago, the European Union was the only prominent actor that could influence the Western Balkans. Today is not anymore so. And I don't think that the European Union should content to be one of the actors that are vying for influence when the Western Balkans is not even the backyard, is the courtyard of the Union, is an enclave of the Union. And what happens in the Western Balkans is, I believe, for sure will affect the Union, as what happens in the Union affects the Western Balkans. So, for a global actor, I believe that as the European Union is, I believe it would be wise to have a strategic outlook when it comes to the integration of the Western Balkans. Of course, it is a merit-based process, and we need to do what we need to do to advance, but then there should be some strategic decision-making and outlook to the integration process of the whole region. And the European Union, to my understanding, and I hope that I'm not short-sighted in this, is not being quite strategic.
Okay. I want to come to you in a second, Miroslav, but first I just want you to reply, if you could, Minister, to what Sergei was saying about his concerns about the investment of China in Montenegro.
Yeah, I mean, what just Olta said, I mean, that there are third sides, you know, looming on the horizon, lurking and waiting for the opportunities. If I say so, if I confirm so, I would not say anything new under the sun. So basically, third sides are there, looming on the horizon, as I said. But again, I think that there is no superior alternative and superior idea for us than European Union. And that's why it's so much important, you know, to have this kind of political steer with the new methodology. Just to give you, just for the sake of the facts, so far I would say that process has been more technical than political, you know. And from now on, this process has to be more political than technical. Of course, benchmarks are there, and nobody, you know, doubts that. But political aspect has to be emphasized. Why? Just for the sake of the facts, to remind you that back in 90s and 70s, when, for instance, I don't know, Portugal, Spain, and Greece were to be admitted to the EU, they were not so ready for the admission, for the membership. Definitely. And just, there was a plan for Greece, to have this kind of pre-accession period lasting for 10 years, and after that to decide whether, but long story short, there was political decision that these 3 countries should be admitted to the EU as soon as possible. On the contrary, and I think that the European Union has never regretted because of that. But on the contrary, we had a case with my former country, with Yugoslavia, when in 1991, Yugoslavia received an invitation to join the EU, back then at the time, European Economic Community, but it was a little bit too late. So Yugoslavia started falling apart, and it was not a reversible process anymore. So that's why it's so important, given the fact that we do have, third sites on the horizon, and that, just I'm saying that 80% of my people, of my citizens, are extremely in favor of this 5th membership, into the EU. That's why I think that the EU has to be more assertive, let's say. And I'm finishing.
If you could answer this point, though, about Sergei's concern about Chinese investment in
Of course. I mean, definitely there, if I start talking about that highway, it's going to take all day long. So basically, in a nutshell,
we have 10 minutes.
Yeah, whoever is on the horizon, there is no alternative to us than European Union. But just to mention, Mr. President Biden said, America is back. I think that it's a high time for European Union to say the same.
Indeed.
And just Olta quoted actually Winston Churchill when she said, when you mentioned history and the Western Balkans, and also I would like to conclude in the same manner. Also he said, we shall not falter, we shall not fail, we shall not weaken, we shall not tire. Just give us tools and we will deliver. So that goes for the Western Balkans. Just give us tools and we will deliver.
Wonderfully said. Miroslav, you wanted to jump in earlier, and I really like what the Foreign Minister of Montenegro said there. Europe should also say Europe is back. Could it be back?
I cannot agree more. I mean, we are not back. We have never left. We are here. And as Minister Zjatka said, the Western Balkans are the inner yard of the European Union. They are surrounded by the European Union, so it's...
Is it back when it doesn't speak with one voice? Is it back?
No,
really?
we have not left. I mean, the Americans left and now they are back, but we have always been here. What I want to say, there is no alternative for the EU but to invite the region to join the European Union, and I don't see a better alternative for them other than to be part of European family. Let me also say that, and I'm a strong supporter of enlargement, everybody knows that, so that's why I might be open in saying European Union also wants to make sure that every new member will be able to function. It's a sophisticated mechanism. Your parliament must be able to basically adopt like 500 legal norms a year into the national legislation. You need to have functioning judiciary. You need to have rule of law so that investment is protected. There must be a guarantee that the moment you join, you do not hold the whole system back. That's why the insistence on these criteria. So it's really just to make sure that with their accession, they will contribute to the performance of the European Union. And that's legitimate. What is not fully legitimate is that when you are using excuses to prolong the process. And this is also unfortunately happening. It is
there are excuses then to prolong.
Yes. And as I said, the goalpost is being moved further away or it's becoming more blurred. And Victor Ponta, as a former prime minister, would say, yes, I see the big picture, let's go. If Victor Ponta was still the sitting prime minister, he would be saying, the moment we accept them, example. We will get less European money because the bigger portion of the money will go to them. Is it in my interest? The investment will transfer from Romania to Albania because it will be more. So I'm just trying
Romania would be great to have all of them in the European Union.
I'm just trying to say that this is a political process. This is a political consideration behind it. Not in every country when the prime minister says, let's enlarge European Union, there will be, applause and cheers, and so let's do it. Some governments believe that this will not make them more popular in upcoming elections. So unfortunately, this process has, to a certain extent, become a hostage to internal processes, political processes in the member states. And this is a mistake because we are losing the credibility and our partners are losing the enthusiasm.
So this issue keeps being repeated, the issue of the credibility of the European Union's enlargement process. I want to go to you, Minister.
May I say
Yes,
one more sentence?
absolutely.
But regardless, I really believe there is no better alternative for either party, and therefore I would wish to see less criticism of each other and more convincing each other that this is what we need, so that we speed up the process. Because, yeah, there has been lots of frustration, lots of bitterness, lots of criticism, but this is not helpful. This will not get us where we want to be. So let's make sure, let's convince those who need to be convinced. That's my final say.
And how do we do that, Minister?
By being honest. You know, I'm a European Union citizen. We are all equal, but some are more equal than others, as Mr. Orwell said. So if you pretend, Albania, Montenegro, to be ready, more ready than the member states, I think we are dishonest. I don't think Romania was absolutely ready when we joined. I don't think Slovakia. But we are much better inside the European Union. We cannot say, yes, you have to be even more anti-corrupted than us, the Europeans. You must be better than us if you want to join. This is not honestly. If we say why Montenegro took the project from China, there is another big project made by a Chinese company close to you, the largest one in Croatia. It's 350 million euros, if I'm not wrong. Nobody says anything. If it's in Montenegro, it's bad. If it's in Croatia, it's good. No, we should be equal, not some of us more equal than the others. And if we say, yeah, you have problems, you cannot join. No, we have problems. And that's why we find pretext to tell you, wait, until we will solve our problems. You cannot say, we have problems in Hungary, so you cannot join. Hungary is European Union. Thanks God it is in European Union, and it must stay there. It's a very good thing. It's not like UK who left, I think, a big mistake for them. But we must be honest with them and tell them, friends, this is the goal. These are the targets. You fulfill them, check, come in. But we always add something. We always say, it's not enough, you didn't do enough, you have to do something else. Go home, and this is not how we should treat them. And when I was Prime Minister, I never said, no, there is a problem. No, that would be huge, great for Romania to have Western Balkans, because we felt the same frustration when they were always changing the rules, and they always said, yeah, you are not prepared. Yes, we are very prepared, more prepared than some member states. But Europe is stronger with us inside, not outside, and I still believe this as Eski Başbakan, but even when I was Başbakan, I said absolutely the same, and I will keep saying this.
I said maybe. I did not say that this was
Remember, it was Slovakia-Romania alliance when it was about funds. Then again, there were some more equal than others. So, but it's better inside than outside. And keeping them outside, it's very unfair. And once again, it's not only a shame, it's a mistake.
A shame and a mistake. Minister, you wanted to jump in.
I also wanted to highlight this point that I think it's crucial to have the Western Balkans inside, because it is also crucial to the geopolitical and geostrategic importance of the European Union as well as a global actor. That and the fact that this is only the beginning of a very lengthy process. Setting a date for the first intergovernmental conference between Albania, North Macedonia and the European Union is only one step forward. It means more work, more homework, more negotiations, more requirements, a lot more reforms, and our legal systems basically coming together and adopting the standards of the European Union. So it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And it comes to mind, sort of putting it with a little bit of humor, that it seems a little bit like an arranged marriage where you are engaged to be married, you are not moving in together, you're not living together, but you have to date. You have to get to know each other, right? You can't keep staying in distance, and eventually after so many years when you get married, you pretend to know each other and to have married the right person or to have made the right choice. So this is what it appears to us. And the other thing that's very important It's for us to deliver, for us to continue reforming the country, and also to overcome all those difficulties and obstacles and political costs that are associated with reforming the countries and pushing forward with some difficult changes and reforms that are very much needed for this integration process of ours. This dream, this European dream, has to be credible. It has to be credible. The net, I don't know if that's the right term, when you're trying to score a goal, should not keep moving. It should be there, and the process should be predictable from all sides. After all, that's what inspires what we need to do, and that's what gives us the strength to overcome all the obstacles and the difficulties that are associated with this process of reforming the countries and of Europeanizing the countries.
We're coming to the end of our discussion. I just want to quickly get some final thoughts from you. Minister, we've talked so much about credibility. Just how sincere do you think the European Union's enlargement project is, and when do you think we'll be talking about more than 27 members?
Listen, as a politologist, I would like to share with you one theory, because some experts say that EU is like riding a bike. So just if you stop cycling, you fall off. So I think that also the EU has to keep cycling, because enlargement policy is the most transformative. It has the most transformative power. Sorry. And also, if you look at our societies at the very beginning of our road, and right now, you would notice that we've done a tremendous job in between. And speaking of the credibility, I don't think that they are moving targets. They are, because
really?
No, seriously. No, I'm talking. They are not moving targets, because every European Commission report I deem as a blueprint. As a blueprint, as a guidelines. You have to finish this, and after that you will have opportunity to be closer to the EU. What let's say, I'm not criticized, of course, but what I doubt is that there is some kind of lack of political will inside of the EU. That's why we do have moving of this final horizon. That's it. So, but criteria are there, and they are adamant, firm, written there, and they are not going to be changed. But definitely, there should be some kind of political will, inside the EU, that, and as I said, more EU we have in the region, less others we will have inside as well. So they have to be more assertive, definitely, and that's why although we have been negotiating Montenegro has been negotiating for 8 years. And we opened 33 chapters, and that's why, for the sake of the fast European future of our citizens, we accepted new methodology. And this new methodology gives us political boost, allow me to say like that, and it might be a springboard for swifter and faster enlargement. And we are very much welcome that on 22nd in Luxembourg we are going to have first IGC, where Montenegro is going to have this kind of IGC with the EU, and I hope that from now on. And speaking of the timetable, I wouldn't put forward any kind of dates, because it's been 18 years since the Thessaloniki summit, and it doesn't matter whether we are going to be a member of the EU in a year or in 5. Just we have to meet criteria, and I hope that this new methodology is going to help us tremendously. I keep my fingers crossed for that. But still, and likewise, as Miroslav said, you need 2 for tango. Of course, I hope that this new methodology and our diligence in our work, in that work, would convince those precarious states, that we are ready, because Western Balkans is the heart of the Europe, and Montenegro is and Albania, we are heart of the Western Balkans. So definitely they have to, be more assertive there.
Minister, final thoughts?
Let's keep the dream credible. That's my final thought.
Beautiful. Sergei, final thoughts there. And when will we be talking about more than 27 members?
Well, as Minister rightly said, maybe we shouldn't talk about the date, but the process. And I think this is important also in case of Turkey, for example, that we keep the process ongoing, because those negotiations are not to please the European Union. It's not to please us. It's not to please Miroslav or the Brussels. It's to transform the societies in something that they would proudly call being European, not because they are white Christian or something, but because they are democratic in the liberal democratic sense of that word, because they're transparent, because they're flourishing. So these processes are important, and we shouldn't stop them, and we shouldn't suspend them like many want also for Turkey, because I think this is the vehicle within which we can also develop towards a democracy of the future and European-type democracy in Turkey as well.
Thank you so much. Miroslav, final thoughts on EU enlargement. What will it be looking like, and when will we see another member, more members?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I will not give you the date, but we are there. And I am hopeful, because last year was really a bad year. It was the year, probably the only year I remember at least, that none of the 6 future members have made any progress, were allowed to make any progress. But this year, first of all, there was a discussion with EU foreign ministers last month, and everybody in unison was saying, we cannot go on like this. We are not doing well, we are losing credibility, we are losing pro-European enthusiasm in the region, we need to change the way we act, we operate. Right now the discussion is how, how to make ourselves be more credible and the EU more attractive. This week, this panel is my 3rd panel in 3rd country where I'm discussing the enlargement of EU Western Balkans, which shows how much attention is now given to this agenda. We will have next week, everybody is referring IGC. You see, we are so much in the business, which is intergovernmental conference, which is the official negotiations between the candidate country and
where will that happen?
Next week, 22nd, in Luxembourg.
Luxembourg.
But we will also have the summit, 6th of October, 27 EU member states and 6 Western Balkan partners. So I really hope, and I'm almost certain, that all this attention must produce results, And I really hope that the first visible result will be opening of accession negotiations with North Macedonia and Albania on the 27th in Luxembourg. And I really keep my fingers crossed. And the title of our debate is The Future of Europe. The conference on the future of Europe starts today in Strasbourg. And I'm also very happy that Western Balkans have been invited to take part, because they are part of future Europe, and therefore it's very good and very right that they were invited to take part in the conference, so that we hear from them how they see the future European Union. So I'm hopeful.
Okay, and are you hopeful about Turkey?
Look, I have always been very clear saying that this must be a merit-based process. That means really let the country that is willing to join go through the process, and if the country delivers, then must be given the chance to join. I'm against blockages, I'm against political decisions that do not allow country to progress on its European way, and this applies fully to Turkey. So it really must not be distracted by different considerations. The rules must apply to everyone, and to Turkey as well.
Okay, I'm just going to go to the audience very quickly, and a very special guest who represents the EU and Turkey to jump in to this debate. Is it on? Test.
Minister, I will be up, Prime Minister. You are not eski, but you are Kadim Prime Minister, forever Prime Minister. So to make you comfortable, I will be up.
Come on, anladım.
In terms of EU rules, I mean, Turkey has no problems. We are fine with Copenhagen political criteria, and we were also meeting Maastricht criteria. But we cannot even come to that point, because one of the speakers mentioned nationally driven policies. That is killing the EU process, EU decision-making mechanism, not only enlargement, but also in other areas. Why we kept Northern Macedonia for 25 years? Why we are now keeping Albania and Northern Macedonia again? So this is nationally driven policies. We have to get rid of these. In the enlargement process, abuse of unanimity, abuse of nationally driven policies is really killing the process. And I think since we talk about the future of Europe, this is essential, it's a must. Western Balkans, I don't like this terminology. Can you tell me Northern Balkans, Southern Balkans, where are they? So we are all Balkans, 7 of us, all candidates, 3 negotiating, 2 candidates and 2 potential. So let's not make this discrimination because it upsets the Turks. Process is as important as accession. You know, I don't think that EU is really moving, you know, the goal. The rules are fine, we have to meet, but nationally driven policies should be taken out of this process. Because if we had had better relations with the EU so far, we could have even solved the Cyprus problem. We could have even have much better relations with Greece. But when the EU says we are in full solidarity with our members, whether they are right or wrong, it complicates the process. In terms of contributions, which country else can contribute more than Turkey to the future of Europe? So you mentioned migration. Who's taking the most of the burden? Counterterrorism, energy security, economy, you know, foreign policy everywhere. So Turkey is there. I hope we can have, as the Prime Minister mentioned, vision and leadership. If we have vision and leadership, if we can get rid of populism in all countries, I think we can make a strong EU with all 7 countries, and then we can talk about a global actor EU, a geopolitical EU. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And just to let you know who was speaking there from the audience, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey and Director for EU Affairs, Ambassador Faruk Kay Makci. Thank you very much for that intervention. I'll let you both respond very quickly.
There is nothing to respond, we fully agree.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Any thoughts?
I agree in principle, but as we said, it takes 2 to tango, and also on that question, Faruk knows my opinion. It's also about those transformation processes that are necessary within Turkey. And if they are lacking, then it's very difficult to drive this vehicle together. So we should say to the EU, stop nationalist-driven decisions, but we also must be honest that we need transformative reforms in Turkey towards democracy, especially.
And thank you very much. And we were speaking to, I didn't, so you're not Eski Bakan, you are...
My Turkish is still not good
forever
enough.
Bakan. Forever Bakan. If you could close our
Nobody's
session.
forever in politics, so
But you
we
are
will all learn
forever.
that.
You are forever
Yeah.
Minister. Your final
I wish
thoughts.
I was foreign minister, but I couldn't, so I was just prime minister.
Okay, so if you could, your final thoughts.
Oh, sorry, you see. That was for my friend. We've been working together so long, and always the foreign ministers are blaming the prime ministers for the shortcomings, no?
So, let us end with your vision, your thoughts on EU enlargement. We want to hear from you.
Once again, I will be maybe too blunt, but me and my Romanian generation, we have always been pro-Europeans because we've seen it as a vision made by leaders with vision and courage. And it's like a family. As long as we are inside, we can fight, we can say bad things. But if you allow one member of the family to say to other members, Albania, Montenegro, Turkey, oh, you cannot enter because your clothes are not good, because your hair is not... This is not a strong family. This is a broken family. This is a broken vision. As long as they are inside, you can say to Bulgaria, Romania, you never say to Germany or France, but you say to the others, it's something which is not going well. But to tell them, don't enter into the family house because we don't like you, what you say, or we have internal problems, this is a broken family, and this is a broken vision. And I think, once again, it's more than a shame, it's a big mistake.
It's more than a shame and more than a mistake. We'll end with that. Thank you very much indeed to all our guests. I'm going to start over here with our impromptu guest on the panel, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey and Director for EU Affairs, Ambassador Faruk Kaymakci. Thank you very much for your intervention. And I'm going to get this right. Victor Ponta, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Romania. Teşekkür ederim.
Maybe in the future,
Yeah.
inshallah.
Thank you so much. And Minister of Foreign Affairs of Albania, thank you very much. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Montenegro, thank you very much. And Chair of the European Parliament's delegation to the EU and Turkey, JPC, thank you very much. And EU Special Representative for the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue and other Western Balkan regional issues, Teşekkür ederim. Thank you very much indeed to everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Antalya. Thank you, everybody. We are done. Thank you.